Let's go with it. Okay. With the breaking news. Yep. Yes. Tough break for Providence rep Enrique Sanchez. Yep. A little bit of a rough night. Whoa. Yes. Yep. We're going to tell it to you right now. A little bit of a rough night, to say the very least. Yes. That's exactly right. Oh. Somebody got slipped. He must have caught a bad cube. Yep. Enrique Sanchez. Somebody got slipped. Here we go. A bad cube. He must have caught a bad cube. Mickey Finn, no doubt. All right, folks, we are yes, not with the big one. Breaking the news, even though I was in court. Even though I was in court earlier. Cranston lowering the boom. Boom. That's exactly right. Look at that. As we're about to hit 83,000 followers on Facebook. Now remember, I advise you, subscriber only. Folks, 49 cents. What can you get for 49 cents? Nothing. The only thing you can get is the cheap booze that he enjoys, but that's about it. Yep. We had the armed robbery. Go local fraud. They just have robbery. We were there. We were there before some of the police arrived. A Haitian national charged with a sex crime is under arrest. And the hits keep coming. Yes, Enrique Sanchez. Yes, we're standing by. Thank you, JR. We are standing by. Okay. Oh. We are waiting patiently. Patiently. Road Patrol Live. Quiet. We're going to wait for our man, JR, to give us the big signal. And then we will begin the real news. Yep. That's how that's going to work. It's a Lynn Miller Monday. It's a Lynn Miller Monday. We're just waiting for JR. And there it is, folks, at 106. This is the real news. And we have big news on this Monday, February 3rd, year of our Lord, 2025. Folks, good afternoon. Right now, we are live you can listen on the website, dpetro.com. We are live on Facebook. Good afternoon to all of our Facebook followers. We're also live on YouTube. We have crossed over 50,000 followers on YouTube. We're about to hit 83,000 followers on our Facebook page. We hold steady on X, 17 and change, 3, I believe. TikTok this week on TikTok, we will go above 100,000 followers. And on Instagram, IG, we are now at 49,000 followers. So let's do the math, folks. Instagram, YouTube is 100,000. TikTok is about to be 100,000. Facebook, well, actually, almost 8,000 followers just on the personal page. So we are, it's not your imagination. We're about to hit 300,000 followers between, actually with X, it's even over that. I don't even count that. I should. With X, then it's 300. But anyhow, folks, the big news, Enrique Sanchez. Now, who is Enrique Sanchez? Providence rep. He is the one. He got in trouble in Providence for attending and hanging out at these after-hour clubs. So 3 a.m., Cranston police, boom. It's too bad it didn't happen during Road Patrol Live. That was my first instinct. But we broke the news just in the last half hour that State Representative Enrique Sanchez, boom, nailed on a DUI by Cranston police. He is defund the police. He's anti-ICE. He is, and where are you in the late night? Talk about Sunday night, excuse me. So less than 12 hours ago, he got popped. I was told coming from Central Falls, but nailed by Cranston police on a DUI. So he was already in court. Spoiler alert, I heard the body cam footage is off the chart. You know, you know, that type of thing. I heard he is like 10 sheets to the wind, shouldn't be behind the wheel. Let's see what happens with Speaker Sakachi and the reps. But this guy has been very adamant. He was very difficult with Providence Police. He's difficult with ICE. There it is. Oh, Channel 12 joins us. Police State Rep Enrique Sanchez arrested, charged drunk driving, refusing the test, 3 a.m. in Cranston. Now, do I expect? Yes, that's right. He is working on that. That is exactly right. Oh, wow. Thank you, Peter. One of the most far left lawmakers in the country. Now, of course, it would be. Oh, okay. Thank you, Eli. Eli Sherman gave me the hat tip. I'll take that. Right back at you, big guy. So, all right. I like that. Channel 12 acknowledges we were first with the story. Yep. Let's see. Channel 10, not acknowledge. You know, the team you don't trust. Enrique Sanchez, you go through his Twitter feed, and folks, it is it says Oneyville. I think he lives on Mesa Street, as a matter of fact. So here are some of his tweets. He's the one that put I won't say it, but blank ice. We'll say that. He's the one that put blank ice. He also, this Enrique Sanchez, he also put out that he's willing to get arrested in fighting ICE. He is a beloved darling of the Democrat Party. He was attacking Joe Paolino. He also wants to put in legislation that blocks ICE from doing their job. He, let's see, let me just see what else. Let's see. I'm sure he'll be at the protest. Don't blank with Providence. We look for our communities, take care of each other. So he has been very, very active. And I posted his tweets on our page, on the Facebook page, regarding his feeling of regarding the new administration in ICE. And he has come out and said that this is war, that any member of law enforcement that goes after illegals is the enemy. And I wonder if this is where okay. And that he is willing to fight. I'm willing to, this is State Representative Enrique Sanchez, defend and protect my people. I'll fight for them to the end. We will fight this president at all costs. He also puts out misinformation. I refuse to call him President Trump. Undocumented people are Rhode Islanders. We must protect them at all costs. I will fight police in order to protect illegals. Yep, that's the message. So let me just see some of his others. Caught a DUI. As I said, folks, we anticipate having the body cam footage up as quickly as possible this afternoon. and we'll see where this leads us. But let me just see if there's anything else that he puts in. But State Representative Enrique Sanchez, no one is above the law. Folks, it's another example, by the way, of now you can understand that. Notice he he goes tough after the Trump administration and anything to do with immigration. And he is actually one of the most far left in the entire country. Now, we will have the body cam footage of the arrest. I heard he's a mess. Can I take it? Let me take it over. We'll have that up on the website, dpetro.com, which is brought to you by the Coesit Inn, 226 Coesit Avenue, West Warwick. Drinks in the lounge. They have the market at Coesit. They're waiting for you, folks, the Coesit Inn. So again, repeating our big story, State Representative Enrique Sanchez has been, and notice it was Cranston police. They didn't know. Why should they let him go? He got banged on a DUI, refused the test at 3 o'clock this morning. Folks, where is he coming annihilated at 3 a.m.? Now, I'm told he was at an after-hours club in Central Falls, and he lives on Messer Street, which we're on every night. You would recognize Messer Street that's right on Cranston Street, and then it goes around to Westminster, and it's easy to access from Cranston Street, right where the liquor store is. So he was obviously in Cranston. I would imagine he came off Route 10 and was going that way. Hey, very lucky he didn't kill somebody. I only wish, folks, as you can imagine, it's tough for me to hear this, only because if only we could have been there for the DUI stop with the Cranston police and then him refusing the test. But what I wanted to mention, and again, we will have the body cam footage. What I wanted to mention is this is another example. And I don't hear anyone talk about this. I don't hear anyone talk about it. We are going to talk about the latest on ICE. We're also going to talk about the Charlotte Lester case, where it's a bail hearing going on today. And it is interesting to sit through. I'm hoping that he is not going to get bail. I don't think he's going to get bail, but nevertheless. But in Sanchez, notice you don't hear anyone at the Rhode Island State House who is putting in any legislation that is going to try to cut down on all the DUI drivers. You don't hear anything about it. I understand that a lot of the Rhode Island reps say, well, we're a tourism state, and part of tourism is you don't want to make people paranoid. Okay, that's true, but you can still have stricter DUI laws. Now, what also is taking shape at the Rhode Island State House, and it's about this legislation, the legislation that they want to put in with these safe spaces. And I'm going to get to that. But folks, this portion of our program is brought to you by Propane Plus. Remember, for all your propane needs, contact Propane Plus today. Propane Plus. Call them in Rhode Island, 401-885-4209. In Massachusetts, 508-252-3359. For Propane Plus, heating and cooling, you can depend on Propane Plus. Remember, they have a very user-friendly website. It's propaneplus.com. Residential or commercial, it's Propane Plus. Give them a call today, 401-885-4209, or in Massachusetts, 508-252-3359 for Propane Plus. Well, folks, right now in Rhode Island, now you have elected officials that are encouraging police not to cooperate with ICE. That puts our members of law enforcement in a very awkward position because they have to interact with many of these elected officials. And I can tell you, because they've told and shared with me, it's very distressing to them where when they're around an elected official and they know where they stand, it's this uncomfortable nature of it. And they feel kind of torn, if you will, because they know where many of them stand. And I think that's unfair. But at the Rhode Island State House, and I did put this story out over the course of the weekend, where you have state reps and that Karen, whatever her name is, Alcatraz or something like that, where her and others are saying they want to put in legislation to create safe spaces in our, in the state. And they want to create, quote, safe spaces where illegals can go and be safe from ICE. Folks, like, what are they talking about? That's not the way it works. That's absolutely not the way that it works. And this is what they're talking about is in a sense creating sanctuaries within an already sanctuary state. And when how much farther does this have to go? How much longer? And even these headlines, can ICE go into public schools in Rhode Island? But the fact of the matter is that there's no members of ICE going into schools. So you're creating panic. Rhode Island bill would create protected spaces to prevent ICE sweeps. What are you talking about? And I want to be very clear. This whole business of it's about the children, and it's about the children, and children are nervous. Folks, every single day, tragically, in our state, in the country, there are people detained. And they're detained, and they are arrested, and they are brought up on outstanding warrants. They're in court, and their parents, this whole business that somehow the children of illegals suffer more than if you were to go to the ACI right now and start inquiring how many people here in the men's prison are fathers. A lot of them are. How many of the women prisoners are mothers? A lot of them are. So this whole notion of, but it's so tough on the children of undocumented people. But what this happens all the time. I mean, sometime over the course of the week, someone is going to be, the police are searching for someone who's wanted on an outstanding warrant, didn't show up to court. This whole nature that somehow that they're feeling it more and the panic that's going on. So this state rep from Pawtucket, she's calling for legislation, protected spaces where immigration enforcement can't enter. This is interfering with law enforcement, and they're about to learn this whole business of, healthcare facilities, urgent care, sites for substance abuse. Of course, they love that. Don't you understand? So if some of these people are wanted by law enforcement, it's like hide and go seek, where you have, remember, there's always like the safe place that if you make it there, then you can't be found or tagged it, or whatever game that you're playing. But so in other words, you want them hiding in churches, you want them hiding in schools. Listen, what are they talking about? ICE agents are required to do their job, and they don't need any interference from our congressional delegation, from the governor, or any state reps that are trying to usurp the law, creating a sanctuary. Well, this is a protected space. Police can't go in. Police can't go in. So if there's someone wanted, there's a carjacking, and the guy's escaping. So in other words, he can run and hide in a church, or he can run and hide in a school, or he could run and hide in a hospital, and police can't go after him. Does that make sense to anybody that's listening? I don't know anyone that thinks that. I'll tell you where there is a safe space. A safe space for children is Kids Club on the Pike. Kids Club on the Pike, remember, birthday parties, before and after school programs, preschool programs, Birthday party venue, Kids Club on the Pike. It's right on the Johnston Cranston line, 295. Easy to get to from anywhere in the state. Were they available for private rental, the entire facility, birthday parties, other events, transportation before and after school programs, half day programs for preschool children. Kids Club on the Pike. It's safe, it's clean. You're going to love it. Contact them, 401 443 5336. Maybe it's a youth child team celebration. Maybe it's a birthday party. Or maybe it's for before and after school care or preschool. Kids Club on the Pike. Folks, you're going to love it. Give them a call, 401 443 5336. Well, folks, good afternoon again on this Monday. Now, I'm going to jump around a little bit. So, the big news, State Representative Enrique Sanchez has been arrested in Cranston on a DUI. And I also want to point out, Cranston police grabbed him. I'm telling you right now, if he had made it over the line into Providence, he still would have been arrested. But Cranston police, you want to talk about an agency, folks. I just can't speak any higher than I do, whether it's the Colonel Winquist, or whether it's Commander, now Senator Todd Padalano, Major Quirk, all through the Cranston police. They're not fooling around in Cranston. And he tries to drop I'm a state rep and you can't do that and blah, blah, blah. And this is discrimination. You know, the thing about DUI is when you see someone careening around the road at 3 a.m., you don't know who the person is. Obviously, they were able to see that it was a license plate. He's got the rep license plate, but, you know, they don't know exactly who it is. So pull him over, and he refused the test, which, by the way, I do have a problem with, because then now he'll hire an attorney who will try to get him out of it, and he didn't take the test, and they'll try to process and make it seem like Cranston police did something wrong. But Providence State Rep, he's really a socialist and a communist. Enrique Sanchez banged on a DUI last night in Cranston. Let's see what Speaker Sakachi has to say about it. So he was arrested. This wasn't suspected. I know some people will say innocent until proven guilty. That's in a court of law. He refused the test and he was arrested. That part is true. Whether or not the conviction stands up is another matter. Folks, this portion of our program is brought to you by Watson Materials, the most complete selection of landscape materials in Rhode Island. Watson Materials, landscape lighting, pavers, retaining walls, natural stone, cobblestone, decorative stone. Watson Materials. Listen, it's finally February. At some point, I am also thrown by the dusting of snow, but it is already starting to melt. But folks, spring will be here. Watson Materials. Remember, landscape lighting, pavers, retaining walls, natural stone, cobblestone. Watson Materials. Call them and request a quote. Call Sean, 401 885 0600. Look for them on Facebook. It's Watson Materials, the most complete landscape materials in southern New England. Extensive collection of pavers, retaining walls, mulch, loam, and stone. Watson Materials, the complete selection of landscape materials in Rhode Island. Well, folks, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Sanchez he's defund the police. He is far, far left. He is a socialist. He is really a communist, actually. He was also arrested by Cranston police. He is very anti-Trump. He's anti-ICE. He's anti-authority. He is pro, he was a big leader of defund the police and the whole movement. He's an elected state rep in Providence. Will his constituents ask him to resign? Probably not. Probably not. Will Speaker Sakachi should be asked about this arrest. Now, I do want to touch on the Charlotte Lester case. and then I will touch on ICE and how some of these reps are. Now, so this morning, as we speak, Mark Perkins, who is accused of murdering Charlotte Lester, he is in court. It's a bail hearing. Now, due to the nature of my schedule, can't be everywhere. However, I did go by the courthouse and caught some of it. They showed the Cumberland Farms video. It'll be on the news tonight. I'll give channel, I did see channel 12, 10, and 6. They were all there. I saw Sheena, and then I saw Molly Levine, and then I also saw our friend who's a reporter at channel 6. The Cumberland Farms video, he went in that Tuesday morning, and he's bloodied, and he looks like a wreck. And he starts talking to the clerk at Cumberland Farms. This goes on for like 15 minutes. People would come over, pay, and then he'd go back into it. And they played it, and he's saying, I punched her, and I punched her, and my house is a bloodbath. I may have killed her. He goes through the whole thing. So they have that. He's sitting there, Perkins, and he looks like a wreck. They also brought up, it's very, they have to, first they have to prove that she's deceased. They also then bring up the dental assistant at Thunder Mist, where they took Charlotte's x-rays, because then they have to link the x-rays, dental x-rays that were done for Charlotte, match the remains that were found by the hunter right on that Exeter line. And then they'll piece it through. And then they also had the police detective. We'll see how long this goes. Sometimes these bail hearings can go several days. I believe they have a lot of evidence. I don't believe the judge is going to let him out on bail. And once again, just to finish off, today was supposed to be the beginning of the trial. He was supposed to go on trial for assaulting me. Instead, he pled no contest last Thursday, and he did plead no contest on the felony assault. So that also comes into play. Folks, but I really want to talk on, this is a time to be active. And I want to talk about what's going on with ICE, what's going on with some of our local reps, what's going on with our congressional delegation. Folks, this portion of the program, though, is brought to you by Modern Mechanical. Now, I did receive an email, and it's someone that has heard me talk about them. And this is someone that's having a problem with their boiler. So if you're having a problem, boiler repair and maintenance, or your furnace repair and maintenance, heater repair and maintenance, water heater installation, repair, boiler installation, boiler repair and maintenance, furnace installation, repair and maintenance, Modern Mechanical, call Richard and his crew, 401-441 5442. Do I expect you to remember that number? No. However, I share their Facebook page. They're on Jefferson Boulevard in Warwick. It's Modern Mechanical, 401-441-5442. Again, if you are having a problem with your boiler, they do boiler repair and maintenance. They do furnace repair and maintenance. They do heater repair and maintenance. Modern Mechanical. Call Richard, 401-441-5442. Well, folks, at 1:30, this is where our local media begrudgingly does tackle the subject regarding the ICE enforcements. And I'll even say, even in Boston, where they've been very active. Remember, the cities that they are very aggressive, ICE, and very active, Denver, Chicago. Chicago is a major problem. And what I mean by that is Boston, Denver, Chicago, New York, LA, they don't cooperate with ICE. I know it seems crazy. It is crazy. It shouldn't be like that. I think years from now, people will look back at this period and say, yeah, it never made sense that Governor McKee, and they would just allow them to leave and they wouldn't hold these people in ICE custody. And they don't. But I think the corner is turning. But something that I want to touch on are the elected officials that try to have it both ways. And there's one that's been in communication with me trying to say, I support law enforcement. Okay, you say that, but you won't say it publicly. And you condemn the actions of ICE. And so you can't have it both ways. If you're an elected official, Governor McKee, oh no, we work with ICE. Well, but that's not what ICE says. ICE has said, so whose word should we take, yours or theirs? Why would they say that? Why would I say many times when we go to pick someone up, the state of Rhode Island under Governor McKee, they release them. When you have Mayor Smiley saying, I tell our officers, you're not an immigration officer, don't work with them. When you have Governor McKee say, I tell the state police, we're not immigration officers, don't work with them. Well, not everyone takes that attitude. Not everyone takes that attitude. So I fully believe that our elected officials, they're trying to have it both ways. They're trying to have it both ways. They think they can thread the needle. They think they can walk a very tight rope of saying, oh no, I support that. But they actually don't. And whether it's Magaziner or that Gabe Amo, listen, if you support the Providence Teachers Union, sending things out to their teachers, remind you, our kids, our students, they have rights. This is the Providence Teachers Union. I'll tell you what's missing from the equation right now is you don't have, I'll say this, you don't have any local media calling them out. Protecting our students. This is from the American Federation of Teachers. This was sent out by the Providence Teachers Union. Protecting our students. Immigrant refugee children. They tried to do the refugee thing. 15 things educators, school support staff, communities help protect undocumented students and their families. Whose side are you on? This is from the Providence Teachers Union. Folks, they get our taxpayer money. I know what you're saying. You don't live in Providence. I don't either. But the state gives the city of Providence over $300 million a year in school aid. Inform students and their families of the rights. This is the Providence Teachers Union. This is their instructions to the teachers. Stress the importance of taking proactive steps. Distribute know your right materials to students. What are we talking about? What to do if a raid occurs or an individual is detained. They're trying to help them. Find out if there's local immigration raid rapid response team. Listen to this one. Partner with a pro bono attorney. Inform the students, the illegals, about their rights. Provide, and here we go. This is the Providence Teachers Union. Provide a safe place. This is insanity. Work with parents in case of an emergency raid. Make your school an ICE-free school zone. Work with your school board. Pass a resolution instructing police not to work with ICE. Issue statements condemning raids. Pledge to support and work with illegals. Folks, this is the Providence Teachers Union. By the way, the same ones that just cut an agreement with Governor McKee, and they're not going to picket and protest outside his fundraiser this evening. Gee, I wonder what he promised them. What is this? These are public school teachers. Ready? You don't have the right to do this. I'll tell you what this is really about. Do you want to know what this is all about? Because I don't hear anyone else other than the chosen one explain. I'll tell you what this is. Right now in the Providence schools, I believe the latest estimate is there's 17,000 students, maybe 18,000 if we want to go on the high side. I thought it was lower. I thought it was around 15. Apparently it's around, I'll just say 18, even though I think it's a little less. But hear me out. So let's look at Hope High School. Let's look at Central, Mount Pleasant, these middle schools and so forth. What do the teachers unions want? As many students as possible. they charge more because they don't speak English. So they mark them as a special needs student. They're not special needs, they just don't know English. But if they mark them special needs, they can charge like 22,000 or 23,000 per student as opposed to 19,000. So they get to charge 4,000 more. They say, "Oh, that's a special needs student." They're not special needs. They just don't speak English. Now, here's the real money question. Do the Providence Teachers Union, do they care if half of the class are all undocumented illegal? No. Why? Because they want as many students as possible to keep as many people employed. The union only cares about jobs. The union only cares about money and jobs. They don't care that the kids are illegal. They fill up or half of a classroom. So the more students you have, the more teachers you need, the more schools you need open. Folks, the fact of the matter is, if this were enforced, now already, number one, you could close half of the Providence schools. They're not even at capacity. That's number one. Number two, anyone that sends their child there, if they had a choice, they'd send them to a charter school, but they can't get into the charter schools. So the bottom line is, why is the teacher union doing this? It's about money. It's about money. Protecting our students. What they really mean is protecting our jobs. That's what it really means. Protecting our students, AFT, American Federation of Teachers, protect our jobs. The more students we have, the more teachers you have, the more staffs you have, the more buildings you take up, the more bus drivers, the more unionized lunch ladies, what have you. It's all about money. But I don't hear anyone speak out about whether or not is it appropriate that they're sending this stuff out to teachers. Why would you want to do that? Now, folks, I'll give a good example. I think that this is, as a matter of fact, I know it's a good example. So I know, or, if you've been following, when we were at the FBI raid in early December, do you remember that? It was I didn't say where we were. It actually, it didn't happen until about 5 or 2. We were then right there. And that video of us on the raid has been shown on national television. They showed it actually even on Court TV. But the reason I mention that is I didn't blow the whistle. I didn't show where the police were. I have been in situations where police just raided a place or they were about to raid. And many times, and I've done this with state police, they've come up to me and said, if you don't mind, don't show. We have some undercover officers here, and we don't want to blow their cover. And as a result of that, no, I don't show their face. My point is, I could have said, hey, we are right now in Providence. Looks like there's going to be a big FBI raid. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to interfere in that manner. And on top of that, you put their safety at risk. Part of the raid is the surprise nature of it, that they're going to catch them off guard. So, but this business of Providence Teachers Union distributing to the teachers, see, they're afraid people will leave. They're afraid people will say, boy, this doesn't seem safe. Maybe we should return to our home country. Providence Teachers Union, they don't want that because they want the money that goes along with all the students. But we have to pay that. I repeat, you have to pay that. I have to pay that. So now, this whole business, our congressional delegation, God bless me. Seth? God bless me, folks. Sorry about that. It must have been that cheap blow from Kennedy Plaza. You had Congressman Gabe Amo and Congressman Seth Magaziner. They voted against the Laken-Riley Act. And what is the Laken-Riley Act that was passed? What is that going to do? That is essentially that if you're here illegally and you're a sex offender, you should be deported. They voted against that. Folks, their votes speak volumes. And when law enforcement and others are dealing with them, they know where they stand. Many of these individuals, when I encounter them, I don't need to say, gee, what do you think? I'm just curious. What do you think of President Trump? I'm just curious. What do you think of JD Vance? I don't need to ask that. I know the answer to that. I know where they stand, right? If you go to a baseball game and the 4 people sitting next to you in the seats are wearing Yankee shirts and hats, you don't need to say, I'm just curious who you're rooting for in today's game. I think there's a dead giveaway who they're rooting for. And it's the same way in politics. So I think it's very unfair, the situation that a lot of our elected officials are putting law enforcement in, which is they are sending a loud message. We don't want you to cooperate. And I'll tell you the one who I believe could be legitimately in trouble election-wise, I believe, is Magaziner. He doesn't even live in Congressional District 2. President Trump actually did pretty well in CD2. He did well in the state. I see a lot of people putting, he got 42% of the vote in the state. He actually did better than that if you just break out CD2, which was the Langevin seat, which is now the Seth Magaziner seat. But Alan Fung, as I've told people, Alan Fung beat Seth Magaziner in day of voting. I think with some money and the Republican Party finding the right candidate, I think Magaziner could be beaten if they cut down on all the illegal, all the ballot harvesting that goes on. But let's just be clear. Mayor Smiley, right? The mayor of Providence. I know where he stands about President Trump. I need to ask him where he stands on President Trump. He despises President Trump. He's despised him for a long time. And so we already know by his words what he says and what he fails to say, where he stands. Anyone that uses the lingo, well, I don't want our officers acting as immigration officers, that tells you all you need to know. Those are the talking points of people that don't cooperate. And so I believe it's making it very difficult I know it is, because I hear from people in law enforcement, folks. And again, repeating the big story, Providence State Rep Enrique Sanchez, he's very outspoken. He was on body camera footage with the Providence police where he was hanging out at some of these after hours clubs. He got banged and got arrested with a DUI by Cranston police around 3 a.m. this morning. And we're waiting to see if he puts out any type of statement or what's going to happen with Speaker Joe Scacchi, because he is obviously a Democrat. But Enrique Sanchez, now his brother is a member of the Providence City Council. The brother was fired by Governor McKee for posting anti-Semitic things, for attending anti-Semitic rallies. The brother, Enrique, he's very, very outspoken, and he's far leftist. I'll say this about the two brothers. They don't hide where they stand on things. For those that take the time, it's pretty clear where they stand on things. They are essentially vowed Marxists. Folks, this portion of our program on this Monday is brought to you by Arch Design Builders. They specialize in residential design. If you're looking for a reputable contractor, look no farther than Arch Design. Eddie and Roxanne, the dream team, give them a call, 401-207-4124. 401-207-4124. Arch Design Builders. Maybe it's for your kitchen. Are you thinking of redoing your bathroom? Maybe you're thinking of doing something with your basement or a deck, or maybe it's a special project. Listen, here's all I'm asking. Arch ARCH, Arch Design Builders. Give them a phone call. You can also look for them. They have a great website, by the way, archdesignbuildersri.com. But you can also look for them on Facebook. All I'm suggesting is let's have a conversation. That's what it starts with. Show them the space. Show Eddie and Roxanne this is the space I'm thinking of. What can you do? Arch Design Builders. You're going to notice the difference. Special projects, kitchens, bathrooms, basements, decks, Arch Design Builders. 401-207-4124. Now, Enrique Sanchez, what should he have done? Maybe he did, as a matter of fact. I'm not sure who his attorney is, but he should have called Marin, Barrett, and Murphy, criminal defense lawyers. We're going to have Stephanie on, I believe, tomorrow. 50 years combined Rhode Island criminal defense experience. Your fight becomes their fight. Full weight of the firm behind every case. Call them 401-228-8271. Marin, Barrett, Murphy Law Firm. 401-228-8271. Well, folks, good afternoon. Right now at 1:49 on this Monday. Again, repeating the big top story, and that is State Representative Enrique Sanchez. Very anti-police. He is a far left progressive. Boom, banged by Cranston police. Early morning DUI. Early morning DUI in Cranston. We expect later. I sent him a message. What happened last night? Let me see. I don't think he has put out. I don't see anything. He's still tweeting about President Trump. But, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Seth Magazine. Children around the world will die from disease and starvation. Because of a federal agency that they're shutting down. I find that hard to believe. And as far as the tariffs, listen, I'm for anything that's going to improve life here in the United States. So let's see. Rhode Island State Rep Enrique Sanchez arrested on DUI charges. He hasn't tweeted anything about it just yet. All right, everybody's got it now. As first reported, look at that. ICE Buffalo arrests violent illegal. Local sheriff refused to honor a federal arrest warrant and released him from custody. Folks, when does this end? When does this end? When do they stop doing this? Why do they keep doing this? I don't have an answer for you on that. I don't have an answer. Does that make sense to anybody? And for all these people, we have to protect our people and blah, blah, blah. You know, many times I don't hear anyone called into account over these are dangerous individuals. These are child predators. These are child molesters, sex offenders, murderers. And why would our local, and by the way, I want to be very clear, this isn't just a Rhode Island thing. Rhode Island's one of the states that does it. As I've already stated, I know some people say, come to Providence, come to Central Falls, come to Rhode Island, well, obviously they went to Newport, but that's not full boom rate. These are all targeted. There's targeted individuals. And you don't hear anyone saying, why, when police descended, about a year ago, police went into a neighborhood in Warwick and they arrested someone on bank robbery charges. Do you remember that? And that was the guy they arrested, he allegedly robbed the bank right on the Pawtucket North Providence line on Charles Street, I believe, if I remember. So anyhow, but what really stood out was this guy shot someone, a clerk in Dorchester in the 80s, and then he killed a Boston police officer in the 90s, and we had him on. And then what happened? He was let out. He was let out of prison after whatever the amount of time was. And where did he move to? If you were a criminal and you wanted to make sure you were safe and in a sanctuary place, where would you go? A sanctuary state. He moved to Rhode Island. So, I mean, many times I don't understand the reaction that when law enforcement, when they arrest someone who's dangerous, you most of the time, the neighbors that I speak to, there's a sigh of relief in the neighborhood. Thank goodness that that person is off the street. If you've ever seen the movie Spotlight that talks about the Boston Globe investigating in the early 2000s, investigating, as embarrassing as it was as a Catholic, the priest scandal in Boston. And one of the reporters from the Globe lived right around a corner of like a halfway house where some of the priests were living. And he took a picture of the house and he put a big thing on his refrigerator telling his kids, stay away from this house. When the investigation finally went forward, there was a sigh of relief that they could tell people. My point is, what I fail to understand is why are these people upset when these dangerous criminals are removed? If you were living in a neighborhood and police and went in early morning raid and they arrested and grabbed a murderer or a sex offender or a sexual predator, after the initial embarrassment that you live in a neighborhood that has someone like that, I would think it would be a sigh of relief that the person was removed from the area, this dangerous individual. I don't get it. There's that great scene in the movie Jaws where they think that they caught the shark, and they're celebrating and hooping and hollering, and mayor, oh no, you don't see Larry the mayor was one of the greatest characters. You don't see sharks like that in these waters. They're celebrating. Why? Because they caught the shark. It's safe to go back in the water. It's a feel. Oh, good. Now we can swim again. Except it wasn't, and that wasn't the right shark. Hooper was right. But my point is, you don't see that. You don't see some of these arrests, these individuals. Why aren't the locals? Why aren't some of the elected officials? Why aren't they saying, whew, good thing. Wow. How many murders? How many kids was he involved with, molesting and so forth? Good thing they got him. That's a good person to get off the street. You don't have that. They react, oh, we got to stop this. We have to stop them from arresting these dangerous people. Why? Because they're from another country? As if that matters? Like it's so twisted. It doesn't make sense because, of course, it doesn't make sense because it doesn't make sense. So, well, even though, and some of the far leftists, like Enrique Sanchez, even though, or that rep from Pawtucket, Karen Alcatraz, or whatever her name is, even though he's killed people and even though he is raped and molested children, I still think we should let him go because he's from another country. Listen, of course it doesn't make sense. And that's why I hope next week that they have these hearings on Capitol Hill and people like Boston Mayor Michelle Wu have to go and answer those questions because, of course, it doesn't make sense to any reasonable, intelligent person. They don't want anybody taken. They don't want anyone taken. They don't care. They don't care who it is. In their mind, a Trump voter, if you work, if you are Caucasian, if you are religious, if you are straight, if you're a straight white male who's employed, who follows the law, but if you're a Trump supporter, they would rather see you removed from the country and let the sexual predator and let the murderer stay here. That's how twisted their mindset is. Folks, of course it doesn't make sense. Of course you can't reason with someone like this. But something else to watch. And again, folks, this portion of the program, you want to get some branches trimmed, contact JD's Lawn Care and Tree Service. Call them today, 401 441 0154. I share their Facebook page. The big news, Enrique Sanchez banged on a DUI. We'll have full thing on DePietro.com. You want to be on DePietro.com later today. Now, over the weekend, yesterday, protesters in LA protesting ICE. And what did they protest? They're protesting ICE, and what did they do? They went on the freeway in LA and stopped traffic, both sides. I think you're going to start to see some of this. I'm waiting to see if Enrique Sanchez starts to claim racism. If he starts to say, I was picked out because I'm against ICE. I was picked out because I'm Latino. I was profiled. Even though I've heard he's all over the place and he's 3 sheets to the wind or 9 sheets to the wind, and he's slurring his words and he can barely stand. And all right, I'll get an Uber, copper. I want to defund all of you, the whole thing. I've heard he was a wreck. He could have killed someone. He could have killed himself, but he also could have killed someone. Folks, and by the way, all elected officials should condemn this action. Hardly a role model. All right, at 1:59, yes, I think we're going to do Road Patrol Live later. The big thing is to be checking the website. We'll get the body cam footage up as quickly as possible. If you're listening to the radio, stay tuned for the 2 o'clock news. Otherwise, we'll be out on Road Patrol Live later. Become a subscriber and purchase a mug on this Mug Monday. All right, we're back later. Stay tuned for the 2 o'clock news.